So a few weeks ago, I had a conversation with the managing partner of a law firm in Canada. We were looking over his firm's finances, talking about he finds new clients. And during the conversation, he smiled and told me that his firm does not spend a single penny on traditional ads, no Google ads, no sponsored social media posts. Instead, he told me that they build their business entirely on referrals. His lawyers spend their time going on community events. They write articles for local blogs. They appear on podcasts. They take other professionals out for lunch. Well, that's all good, right? So as I listened to him, and then I asked a very basic question: what is your customer acquisition cost for all those referrals? You know what? He stopped talking and he looked pretty confused. Then he's like, well, it's zero, and referrals are just free. We just talk to people and people find us online, and that's how we're doing it. This is one of the biggest mistakes a law firm leader can make. Referral marketing is never quite free. In fact, whether a referral comes from a handshake, let's say at a local cafe, or a click on maybe a local directory website, it usually costs a lot of money. The problem is that these costs are invisible and they do not arrive on something like a very neat monthly invoice that we're used to, right? From, say, an advertising company. Instead, they're scattered around across credit card receipts, personal expenses, probably event tickets, web hosting bills. Now, if you don't know exactly what it costs to bring a client through the door, you cannot build a truly profitable business. You just are operating on, I guess, hope. So I'll show you how to change that today. And we're going to look at every single type of referral, both human word of mouth and online digital platforms. We will walk through how to build a tracking routine, how to find hidden expenses, and how to calculate exact dollar amount that costs to win every single client. To calculate the true cost of any marketing channel, we must look at the firm's resources. A law firm really has two assets to spend, money and also time. So when you buy a digital ad, you're spending money out of your bank account. And when you build referral networks, you're usually spending a combination of money as well as the billable hours. So we must break these down into two clear categories. Now, the first one is hard costs. Hard costs are the actual dollars that leave your business. These are easy to track because obviously you have a paper trail for that. So, number one would be the cash you pay for lunch with, let's say, a local accountant, the monthly fee you pay to list your firm on a legal directory, um, then it could be the price of high quality microphone that you purchased to record a podcast interview. And also it comes down to holiday gifts that you've sent to past clients who recommended your work. So then comes the soft costs. And this is where I've seen most of the law firms fail. Now, every hour a partner spends driving to a networking event, sitting in a restaurant, maybe writing an article for a local blog, is an art they cannot bill to the client. That time has a real measurable value to firms' bottom line. Calculate soft costs. You must look at what a lawyer's time is worth internally. If a senior attorney bills out at $300 an hour and they spend 3 hours at a local charity breakfast to say meet a potential referral, that breakfast did not just cost the price of the ticket. It cost the firm I guess three into three, that's $900 lost in labor. Now, to find the true customer acquisition cost that we marketers say CAC, You must always use this simple formula. You got to add hard costs with the soft costs, and that would be the total referral spend. And then what you got to do is use that total referral spend divided by the number of signed clients, and that would be your referral cap. Let's look how to apply this rule to every single referral path your firm uses. The first one, we're going to look at the human to human referrals. I see personal recommendations as the lifeblood of family law. When someone is facing divorce or a custody dispute, they want to hire an attorney that they can trust. They usually start by asking people they already respect, like, say, a family therapist, a financial planner, or an attorney who practices a different type of law. Now, tracking human referrals requires absolute discipline when the office phone rings. So, when a new person calls your office, they're probably stressed out. They want to talk about their legal emergency right away. So, if your receptionist asks a casual question like, "How'd you hear about us?" Usually, the callers would give them a lazy answer. They might say, "Oh, the internet," or "a friend." And that data is completely useless to a business owner. So, your intake team must use a deliberate, structured script. It should sound warm, professional, and very specific. Like, for example, they could say, "We always love to send a formal thank you note to the professionals and friends who support our law firms, whom may we thank for recommending us to you today." Now, there is a special purpose for this. It causes the caller to kind of slow down and think. They will almost always give you a specific name, like, say, "Oh, my marriage counselor, Dr. XYZ," or let's say Aries, told me to call you. Once your intake team hears the name Dr. Aries, they must log it into your case management software, like, say, CleoGrow or Lomatics. And you must never let your staff type names into a blank open field. And the problem with that is if one person types Dr. Aries and the second person types Dr. J. Aries and a third person probably makes a typo, the whole database for your firm will be broken. The computer will think that you have three different referral sources. Instead, your system should be designed to have a master list of referral partners. The intake team should search the list and then search the name, link the new client directly to a specific person's profile. And what it does is it creates a permanent, clear connection in your software. Now, let us look at a real world scenario over a 6 month period, how the math works out. Imagine a family law partner named Sarah wants to build two different referral relationships. The relationship A is going to be with the high profile, say, corporate attorney. Sarah wants to get divorce cases from a busy corporate attorney in town. Let's call him Robert. All right. Over next month, Sarah takes Robert out to three expensive dinners to talk about business. She also buys two tickets to a hockey game so they can, network. Hard costs that were spent on Robert are a total of $900, let's say, for the dinner and the game tickets. And the soft costs on Robert were Sarah spending total of 10 hours traveling and attending these events. And if her value of time is $300 an hour, so that means she has spent about 3,000 in the soft cost. Now, if you add them together, it's going to be the total investment of $3,900. And over the period of time, um, let's say keep 6 months, Robert sends Sarah two clients who sign a retainer. So if she has spent $3,900 and she got two clients out of that, the customer acquisition cost for Robert would be $1950. Now, there's another relationship, let's call this relationship B, with a family therapist called David. Now, Sarah does not buy David sports tickets or expensive dinners. Instead, she visits David at his office twice a year during her lunch to talk about how they can support the same families. So the hard costs spent on David would be, say, $40 for a coffee and the parking fees. And the soft costs on David would be Sarah spending 3 hours total preparing and attending these brief meetings. So 300 into 3 would be $900. So the total investment, if we add them together, would be $940. Now, the result of this is over the 6 months period time, David sends 4 clients to Sarah, which means that Sarah spent 940 divided by 4. So the customer acquisition cost for David would be 235, right? Now, before you look at the data, both relationships probably felt like a success because both men sent her some clients, right? But the data reveals the actual truth. Now, you see, the corporate attorney costs her firm about $1950 a client. The therapist costs like 235 per client. So the therapist is nearly 9 times more cost effective. Now, with this knowledge, you can stop spending thousands of dollars entertaining the corporate attorney and focus on finding more therapists like, say, David. Now, let's look at a second side referral marketing, and that is digital referrals. This happens when an online platform, a let's say media show or a third party website, recommends your firm to their audience and a user clicks a link to find you. Now, many firms think these channels are free or cheap because they do not involve expensive dinners that we talked about in the earlier part of the video. Now, let us look at the real data from the 3 most common digital referral sources. So, the first one is the paid legal directories. Firms usually often pay a monthly fee just to have a premium profile on those websites. Like the common ones are like Avo, FindLaw, Justia, and there's so many others. And they hope people looking for a local lawyer will see their listing and click through their website. Now, before we get into the tracking solution, it is very important to understand that to protect your Google Map rankings, you should always list your real office phone number on these directory profiles. Using a different tracking number directly on the directory can actually hurt your local SEO. Instead, use a custom tracking link, usually called a UTM tag. So, when a user clicks the link and lands on your website, you could and you should have call rails set up that reads that tag and it instantly changes the phone number on your website only for that specific channel. And this basically helps track the lead perfectly without confusing Google's search bots. Now, here's an example. Imagine you pay a directory $600 a month to advertise your law firm. Your office manager spends like 2 hours on setting up the text, photos for the profile. Let's say he's valued at $50 an hour, so that would be $100 in labor. So over a 6 month period, your tracking software shows you exactly signing up with 3 clients from that site. Now, the hard costs here would be 600 into 6 months. That would be $3,600. And the soft costs would be 2 hours of $50 worth, which will be 100. So the total directory investment will be $3,700. Now, because you got 3 clients, the customer acquisition cost for the directory would be 3,700 divided by 3. That would mean $1,233 something per client. Now, another very popular way of referrals are through guest posting. This means writing a helpful educational article for someone else's digital platform. For example, a family lawyer might write an article titled how to protect your business assets during a divorce for, say, a local chamber of commerce website or a local accountant's blog. Now, say at the bottom of the article, there is a short paragraph about the author. Inside the bio text, you must include a custom tracking link that points back to a specific page on your website. When a reader clicks that link and fills out your consultation form, Google Analytics 4 logs that source automatically under the specific guest post name. Now, for example, a senior partner spends 5 hours researching and writing a very detailed article for a major local business blog. The partner's time is valued at $300 an hour, as we established before. The firm does not pay anything to post that article. Over the next year or 6 months, the article remains alive online, and your analytics data prove that it brought 3 signed retainers. Now, since we haven't paid anything for this, so the hard costs will be zero. But because the senior partner has spent 5 hours, which means 5 into 300 would be $1,500. So the total investment here would be $1,500 guest post. Now, since you signed up 3 clients from that, so the customer acquisition cost will be 1,500 divided by 3, and that would be $500 per client. The third most popular thing people are doing right now is podcast appearances. But technically, it is not free as well. So let's suppose appearing as a guest on local broadcasts such as, say, a real estate show, a mental health podcast, or a business program is quite powerful to show your expertise. Listeners hear your voice, they see you, they understand your personality, and often feel a sense of trust before they ever meet you. Now, going on podcasts and then doing nothing about it is just waste of time. So what you can do is you can ask the podcast host to say a short, memorable custom web page or include a real link in the bio. So when listeners click on that specific link, that link can be tracked back to the podcast episode where they're coming from. Now, for example, for podcasting, you buy a microphone that costs you like $200. You spend a total of 4 hours researching the podcast, doing a preparation call, and recording the interview itself. Your time is valued at $300 an hour. Now, when the episode is live over the next 6 months, there's just one client that uses that link in the description to hire your firm for a custody case. Now, the hard cost would be $200 microphone, right? But the soft cost is the 4 hour time that you've spent in recording and researching. So that means 4 into 300 would be $1,200. So the total investment for that particular podcast episode would be $1,400, which means the cost per acquisition would be $1,400 because you just got one client. Now, once you implement these systems, the real magic happens. You can bring all your data together into a single chart or a table, and you stop treating marketing like an emotional guessing game that we all do and start looking it as a financial investment. Now, let's look at the complete view from the referral marketing channel over the 6 months period of time. So we started with the corporate lawyer with the CAC of 1950. Then we also talked to family therapist with a CAC of 235. Then your digital CAC was 500. Paid legal directory was 1233. And the podcast appearance costed you like $1,400. Now, if you're a managing partner who believes referrals are completely free, can see the radical differences between different channels. Now, writing articles for a local business blog costs nothing out of the pocket, but requires a few hours of work, yielding a very healthy customer acquisition cost of say 500. Meanwhile, spending hours talking to a corporate lawyer and taking him out to fancy dinners and hockey games might result a massive CAC of 1950 per client. With this report on your desk, your next steps become really clear. But it's not that simple. See, you can cut back on expensive dinners and underperforming legal directories. You can take those saved hours and spend building relationships with more local therapists or maybe writing more guest articles for local blogs. But the truth lies in the next step, which is the return of investment calculation, which even my channel name suggests. But let's keep it for the next video. In the end, it's just very important to understand that to scale a law firm efficiently, you must lift that whale on your referral tracking, because every handshake you do, every online click has a price tag. And you may not feel it today because you're just guessing, but it's there and it's very real. So instruct your bookkeeper to create a unique, say, expense code named Referral Marketing Development, so you can isolate your hard cash outlays. And that requires your lawyers to kind of log every minute of networking or content creation under a dedicated non-billable time code. So finally, you should always hold your intake team accountable, because it's very important to find out exactly who or what prompted the prospect to call in the first place. This is why when you connect your true costs to your signed retainers, you take complete control over your law firm's growth. And this is where I help law firms figure out all this with a comprehensive data audit. If you're the one who used to think that referrals are completely free, book an audit today and see if that is indeed the case.